I know. I just have to wait for this moment, and then I'll be back. I can't even see y'all right now. Does Eric have quarantine hair? You turned the Snapchat off.
I turned my hair simulator off.
It's taking a while on YouTube. It says it's live on YouTube, but it says it's preparing to be live. All right, we're live. All right, hello everybody. We are here and we're live on YouTube and on Zoom. Welcome. We have some great participants already in our chat. We see from India, the UK, Victoria, Texas. That's down by Houston. I actually know where that is. And I know we have some people from Canada and Atlanta, Georgia. It's pretty awesome. So this is a special webinar. If you want, you can turn it on speaker view or gallery view just to see your people or whatever you want to do. And we're really happy. I feel like the Brady Bunch right now because I have Eric below me, and then I have Tom next to me, and I have Jay Silver in the corner. So Jay and Eric are the reason we're all here really anyway, because they are the people the brains behind Makey Makey. And we thought it'd be really fun to bring them together for Scratch Month. Eric still works at Scratch. In fact, Jay worked with Scratch in the beginning too. So I remember when I found that out, and my kids were doing a laugh sound on Scratch, and I was like, that's Jay Silver laughing. So it's kind of funny. You probably have Jay Silver laughing in your living room all the time and you don't know. So I just want to say hello to Eric. You want to say hello?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
And Jay, will you say hello?
Hey, yeah, this is great. We haven't done something like this in a little while and haven't done something like this publicly with Makey Makey, so this is great.
Yeah. And then Tom, will you say hello?
Helps if I turn my microphone off. Yes, I am here in my Lego lab.
Is that Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
well, I'm gonna go into Scratch here.
Yeah.
There we go.
And the Makey Makey will say hello. Hi, I'm a Makey Makey, and I'm going to demo something to you later.
Oh yeah.
You did that background. Yes, we like to pretend to have different backgrounds here. Shall I have a different background? I have a Scratch background.
Cool. Ooh, blocks. You got some blocks.
That's my favorite one. All right.
Rosenbaum, is that a live Scratch project?
It's not, that would be cool. It is recorded from a Scratch project. Forever change color by 5 or something. Yes.
Okay. I had to do my my other background. Oh, sorry. It's too silly. I'll stop. All right. No more silliness. Let's talk about how you guys came up with the idea of Makey Makey. Just a tiny history, because Eric, you will have to probably put your other background back on. But Eric showed me the other day, he actually has the prototypes from the beginning. So I think that's pretty cool. If y'all want to talk about that and about how you kind of got together when you were interested in hacking keyboards.
Just before we launch into that, I'm noticing on the chat that some people are seeing only Tom. Tom is great to see.
I fixed it.
Oh, thanks, Colleen. Okay, you're a pro.
They're like,
yeah,
Tom!
One thing that's funny that I don't know if anybody knows is that when Eric first walked in as a student to the lab that I was sitting in, we immediately started collaborating without knowing anything in advance and without really having a big plan. We knew who each other were, but then we just had all these ideas about how to use Scratch and how to use circuits, and we just sat down and started collaborating without him doing anything else. Just how I remember it. I don't know if it's the first time he walked in, but that's what it seemed like.
It was a magical time. Yeah, so yeah, we were both students at MIT at the same time. Jay had arrived a little bit earlier, and I came in the spring of 2007, which was actually just the moment that Scratch was launching out in the world. So the group had been working on it for a few years before then, but the public launch of the Scratch website and community went live right then. And Jay and I, right away we were making stuff together. I think I made a project that could like automatically generate drawings, and then Jay remixed it into the songs for Universal Peace, something like that. No, dances for Universal Peace. It automatically generated algorithmic dances.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then there was something about storing memory because there weren't lists yet in Scratch. So you could store a variable in Scratch, but you couldn't store hundreds or even dozens of variables all at once, like a list does. And so we had made a little way of drawing colors onto to the background, and those colors represented storage of memory. Then we would read them back out later. And so that was something that we just jumped right into also.
And it was called Memorizing Bananas, if I recall correctly, or my version of it was. And yeah, bananas were there from the start. And also from the start, we were always just like pushing the boundaries and like trying to make it do something that it wasn't designed for, that we wanted it to do.
Oh, you guys, you actually have student Chrisanian asking, what is Makey Makey?
What even
What
is?
is it?
Makey Makey is digital duct tape. Makey Makey lets you take any digital object and any physical object and combine them so that when you touch something in the physical world, anything can happen in the digital world. And you don't have to, like, the API is so duct tapey because you don't have to, before you get started, hook up software and define how everything will interact. You just connect to the physical world and plug in the Makey Makey, and then you start touching stuff and things start happening in the software.
You can turn anything into a key. It's a little circuit board. Here it is. And we're going to show you live in a little bit also.
That actually is one of the inspirations for Makey Makey. There's a lot of things that came together to make Makey Makey happen. And one of them was the make anything into a key inspiration. And this is just a way of telling it that I haven't probably told before. There was this one art piece that Eric was installing called MMTSS. And
MMMTSSS.
Yeah. Yeah, MMMTSSS. And it was a music looper, a special music looper that invited tinkerability and collaboration.
Yeah.
And it only had one button, which, by the way, that follows our creative tool design of the one rule, which is to always make one little thing lead to lots of complex, interesting creativity, like one thing you can do. And that one rule it had was you push one button, and that one button wanted to be a big red button. But in order to hook up a big red button, should we install some special software? What should we do, right? And
like, how do you even do that at the time? Like electronics, like program something like a microcontroller, maybe Arduino.
Oh, what year was this? That's what you should, because that makes a difference.
This would have been 2010-ish.
Yeah. So
with give or take, 200 days.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was maybe even earlier. Yeah.
So Pragyan is saying it's like microbit and Lego. We actually have some kids here who have not seen Makey Makey, so I think this is cool. You guys are getting to share with them the first time.
Yeah, it is like that. You can contact Microbit and Lego and let them know they're no longer needed because we now have Makey Makey. It is a little bit like that. And it's like and to answer that point, one of the things that we thought was, hey, we need a simpler Arduino, and Microbit is kind of an Arduino. So, and in general, those are called microcontrollers or microcontroller platforms that make it easier to use microcontrollers.
Just tiny computers.
Yeah, and that's all Makey Makey still is today.
And it's right after Pico Board that you guys made this, because Pico Board came out right before Makey Makey, right? Or not?
Yeah, I would even say it's a lot after it, but we are definitely inspired by Mindstorms, which came out of the Lifelong Kindergarten group. Not a lot of people know that. The research behind Mindstorm came right out of Seymour Papert and Mitch Resnick's research.
Lego
It was called Lego Logo. Yeah, Lego Mindstorms, that's right. And also the group had put out, Computer Clubhouse was a big project of theirs. And then specifically this Pico Cricket and Pico Board came out of LOK and LOK affiliated groups. And we saw all that happening. And I mean, all the stuff that Eric and I have done really wouldn't be possible in the same way if we hadn't been situated in the Lifelong Kindergarten group. So maybe it's just worth saying, Lifelong Kindergarten is exploring how do you make kindergarten for the rest of the world?
So just to finish that one thought about the music software that we installed, it needed one big button. The question is like, how do you make one button to connect to a computer? And it was actually like pretty hard. There are various ways, including taking apart keyboards that people had experimented with. And that was one of the inspirations later for making something that makes that super easy. Just make a physical thing that controls something on the computer. That was one of the pathways that we
Eric,
followed.
I think you actually took a mouse apart for that specific one.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and
it was both.
Keyboard and mice. That's the same thing. And when you take apart a keyboard, if you pop off a key from your keyboard, or if you pop open your mouse, inside somewhere there are two metal things that want to touch together, and they do touch together when you push down the button or when you click the mouse. And so, Eric had soldered those up to the big red button, and so then he was mouse clicking when he put the big red button. But this was a recurring theme of like keyboard hacking workshops and wanting to get information for fast interactivity into the computer from the world. And in fact, not just big red buttons, but if you look at some of the previous work like Drawdio, which let you turn any object into a musical instrument by touching it, the question was also, okay, how do you get this to be more computational? We've got like trees and jackets and kitchen sinks squeaking music when we touch them, or bananas squeaking music when we touch them. How do we get it not just squeaking, but anything a computer can do? And so that was a long-standing research question for like 4 or 5 years. How do we computationalize Drawdio? Meanwhile, we have this keyboard hacking and interactive art wanting to be easier to interact with the computer. So all this stuff is a big pool inside Lifelong Kindergarten, inside Media Lab. And those were the conditions that Makey Makey arose from. Some of the conditions.
Yeah. And then one other thing to mention, which is really profound, I think, is about the human-human connection part of it, which I think, Jay, you discovered with Drawdio, this sense of completing a circuit, not just between wires, but also between physical materials and people and flowers and soil, but even also between multiple people, and that sense that you could make something happen with skin-to-skin connection, with touch.
That is an invisible, profound part of Makey Makey. And my mom, who's a lactation consultant, always told me the magic of skin-to-skin contact for, in her case, she was studying the health of babies and the health of mothers and things like that. But I always felt like it was so magical. And I even made this jacket called Okay to Touch. And you turned it on by touching someone. And me and my brother did a fashion show at the Exploratorium. And some friends of mine did one in Boston as well. And when me and my brother were on stage, the little speech we gave was like, look, we're brothers. When we touch each other, this jacket turns on. Human skin-to-skin contact can be an on switch for your gizmos. And human skin-to-skin contact's really important. And we demonstrated it as brothers holding hands. And we thought that was really cool. And that skin-to-skin contact is really powerful in Makey Makey, whether it's fruit skin to human skin or some other aspect of nature or some, element like metal dug out of the ground. But the human skin-to-skin is a super cool part of Makey Makey, high five photo booth, things like that.
Hey, Eric, can you show the prototypes? Because to me, that was the coolest thing. And then I want to talk about the video, because a lot of the people in the chat are actually saying that they show your video to students all the time. They think it's really cool. Right now, they're really excited you're both here. And so I think it'll be fun to show the prototypes and then talk a little bit about the video. I just shared the video back in chat. So,
good idea.
Because I think the story of the video is kind of amazing. All right, so Eric's showing us.
Just really fast, this was the first thing that we built. This was at Exploratory Tinkering Studio. We took an existing Arduino circuit board, the green thing, and soldered it onto a little board and added these sockets where you could plug in wires. Here's the soldering, all messy on the back. And then you could see, it's really slow, but I printed out this tiny little key so you could see like left arrow, up arrow, down arrow, and then it had some more keys on the other side and even mouse control. And it kind of worked. It was so exciting. It just barely worked. We worked with a company called SparkFun to help us design and engineer the circuit board. So this was the first one that looks like what you see today. Oh, I forgot to show you. This was our drawing. This was the thing that was like, hey, let's make something that looks like this. Oh, here it is. Wow. And it was so awesome that they helped us do that. And then as you can see, it got a little bigger. It grew up. And this is what you have today as the Makey Makey. It's got the arrow keys and space and click and earth on the front, and then more goodies on the back.
Awesome. Thank you. The video started playing when I went to get the link, and it has you guys singing. So I just think it'd be fun if you told the story of how all of that is completely DIY.
Oh, yeah. It's so DIY. We were just doing phone calls at first because I didn't even have internet. I lived out in the forest.
I was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Jay was, where were you again exactly?
Yogaville. Yeah.
But what state was that even in?
Virginia. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember I went there and I was in the forest. I don't even know where I was. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's the least populated county, Buckingham County in Virginia, and we would do phone calls and we would, what should the name of this be? How should it work? And okay, we're going to film a video. Oh, I'm going to need internet. There was the company couldn't give us internet, so we ran an Ethernet cable 400 feet from the neighbor after convincing them. They're like, what are you doing? Why is this so important? Like, you have to share your internet with us or we can't get this product out. We'll pay for the internet bill. Run it through the forest.
That you had a shed primarily containing a beautiful Nintendo entertainment system setup as well. So there was inspirational technology around at the same time.
That's right. Yeah. So we're splicing wires in Tupperware boxes and we're like, oh, let's test this in different environments, like noisy environments. I don't have a noisy environment. Eric, you're in a lab. Here,
right.
Quick, test this. And I would say, Eric, solder this. And he would say, Jay, how do we do the digital signal processing needed for that? And I'd say, Eric, what should we do about the code here? I don't know how to code this. And
yeah.
And so then eventually Eric flew out to shoot this video and we had been talking on the phone and we had a list of things we thought would be cool to do with Makey Makey, probably a list of like 20 things. And we had whatever we had from the grocery store because it was like an hour away.
And we tried a bunch of things that didn't work that well. We kept iterating.
There was a gong, right?
We thought we could make a thing that let you like thumbs up or thumbs down a song by hitting a gong. It just didn't film all that well.
It was like Pandora in the early days.
Pandora, that's what it was.
Yeah, or something.
Like that.
And it's like, if you don't like something, you hit the gong and it goes to the next song and thumbs downs it. And the contact between the stick and the gong was kind of a click on the down arrow, on the thumbs down.
But we spent hours and hours wiring up the stairs with copper tape so we could play piano with our bare feet by running up the stairs. And we ended up with...
That was the stairs in the house I was staying in.
On our fingers because... Anyway, that was challenging. And
the water, the DDR thing.
Yeah! Oh, that took all afternoon. Maybe all day.
It was funny because we have a clip that got cut from that, which is those water buckets are actually drawers from a cheap dresser. And so we took out the drawers and threw them up in the air, like totally dismantling it, like on film, and then like started filling them with water. That scene got cut. But the idea was just grab stuff out of your house, throw it in the front yard and start jumping on it and make it interact with your computer.
I see a comment from somebody about the alphabet soup thing, which was also very messy and it took us a long time. The person says it wasn't a complete success, but not a complete failure either. I think you could say the same of our experiment, not least because we wanted to spell Makey Makey and the entire can, we searched the entire can, there were no Y's.
There were no Y's.
There were X's, and so we had to cut off the, anyway.
Yeah. We did surgery on those. And Eric wanted to do the alphabet soup one. And I'm like, look, this is the last one. We've got enough. We don't need this one. Eric's like, this is how I remember it. And Eric's like, no, I really have this vision. I'm like, all right, I'm your cameraman. Lead us through this one. Because I'd kind of like been like driving us through and I'm like, I'm tired.
It was
Eric's
a lot.
Like, we can do this. I'm like, it's going to take longer than you think. And we did it. It totally made the cut. It was super cool.
So wait, who does the music? Is it just your voices?
It was voices, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric did the music for the first video, just voices by himself, I think, after the fact. I said, we need a jingle. And Eric said, I've got it.
Yeah.
And we had done that for Drawdio. I mean, if you look at the Drawdio video, it was literally, I think, just me saying draw audio and then playing the Drawdio.
Yeah.
And that had been a big hit, whatever that means. People had laughed a lot about it.
Drawdio.
There's the Drawdio, the musical pencil.
So Eric put that together in Audacity by layering his voice, which is a free software program, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay, that's what I remember. And and then like, we did like this, the intro is just my kitchen table and it's just a bunch of photos with a camera on, and everything was shot on a camera Rebel, a Canon Rebel, just a basic camera that cost about $300 at the time. All the lighting was 2 clamp lights with paper towels in front of them.
Which we moistened so as not to overheat them. Safety first.
And each scene took about a half a day to shoot, say like 3 hours or something like that, typically. And it was all shot in my house that I was renting or the front yard of the house.
And you just happened to be in the middle of nowhere, so that looked really cool.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. And the editing and everything was all done DIY. So there was no literally, like, I can't think of anything that anyone did other than watch it and give us some feedback that me and Eric's hands didn't just personally set up. I'm sure my wife Jody helped with some stuff, obviously. But
regarding the cat's role, it's true that they strongly dislike aluminum foil. And so that one take where it sits on the foil and drinks from the water in order to take a cat selfie took, as I recall, a couple of hours. just to get that 3-second sequence.
You
It's
know,
like herding cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've rarely seen cat projects. And then about a month ago, there were 2 or 3 cat projects. And then there was a project where someone had a dog stealing cat food. So they set up the selfie to catch the dog that climbed up and was eating the cat food. So I'll have to share that. Well, I'll find that link and I'll share it in chat because it's really pretty adorable. One more question.
Oh, go ahead.
One more question before we move on. Was someone asked why was it green in the beginning and why is it now red and white? And I feel like I sort of maybe can guess the answer, but yeah, they want to know why they look different. We have one of them on site.
The green is a kind of standard, boring, typical
Prototype,
board
right?
color,
Yeah.
and so prototypes are often green. It's changing, but the red and white. Do you want to say something about the red and white, Jay?
Well, I mean, we didn't want this to be a circuit, but we did want it to be a circuit. So if you look at that, it almost looks like a real controller. I mean, not a real one, but it doesn't really look like a circuit. And so there's silk screen and solder mask of different colors covering each other up to basically normal circuit things like, through holes. Hey, that would be great to clip on alligator clips. And, oh, I know, we can write the name Makey Makey with traces and solder mask. And maybe we can even make the .com so when you touch it, it loads up makeymakey.com. Like we were thinking of all the ways to hack circuits. And I know the indicator LEDs on the front will be like reverse mounted LEDs on the back. So it looks like it's glowing from behind. And so you can see some of the art drawn into the solder mask. And Eric, you want to pick it up from there?
Oh, just one last detail. Jay just mentioned that in the traces, in those little white lines, which some of which are the functional circuit traces that connect the different parts of the circuit. Others are like little hearts, musical notes, and a few other things on there, which is such a wonderful detail we were able to create.
But if you want people to hack their world, then it's got to be all the way to the soul and the core of the circuit itself. So it's all hacked in there.
Chris Coley has the perfect segue. What are you up to these days, Eric?
And Jay.
But Eric can answer first.
I'm a member of the Scratch team, and so I helped to create the new version of Scratch 3.0 that came out last year, and I'm still working on pushing the boundaries of Scratch and making new things possible. I work a lot on music and sound related features, and also Scratch extensions, so making Scratch do new things by adding new blocks. For instance, we added a text-to-speech extension that lets Scratch talk for you, and I'm experimenting with many other things like adding a physics engine to Scratch, or adding new ways to sense sound and to track your body as you move around using the video. All these fun experiments that many of them will just remain experiments, but hopefully someday we can release to the world some of those research projects. It's a really rewarding project to be a part of. One other thing is during this time, we launched Scratch Month for the current month, and every week there are new studios, which are like collections of projects that kids can contribute to that have a theme. And so I curated one called Interview Anything, where kids could make Scratch projects where they interviewed a banana peel or a imaginary chipmunk or anything around their house or people or pets. I see on the chat someone interviewed their Jenga. That's awesome. And so this week's Scratch Month studios include one is celebrating the 13th birthday of Scratch, so they're celebratory projects, which is awesome. And then the other Scratch Month studio this week is chain reactions, and people are doing very clever, creative chain reactions with Scratch.
Awesome. That's cool. You guys are doing chain reactions. We did right at the beginning of quarantine. We had we were really into the Tinkering Studios chain reaction stuff, and so we made, I don't know why I'm saying I made a chain reaction project with Makey Makey. I think I'm saying we because Lindsay from Strawbees did too, so we had them on a couple weeks ago and we talked chain reactions with Scratch.
Awesome.
Well, we did. Yeah. We talked chain reactions with Scratch and Strawbees and Makey Makey, and Chris Coley's sharing the hashtag round the world _ chain reaction is what we were posting on all of the world chain reactions. So that's pretty awesome.
On Twitter. Yeah. Awesome.
I don't know, Rosenbaum, if you had any demos set up, or actually, I'm not following the script. Colleen, is there
he does.
Is that where we're going next?
He said he was going to show. I didn't know the pitch effects block was new. And yes. I remember there was like this crazy music extension before They're Scratch 3.0 that seems to be gone now.
I'm not sure exactly what we're referring to.
Yeah, that's okay. I remember it was like it would change like the stars and set. I don't know. I'm gonna just stop. It's probably what the pitch effect was, but yeah, you should show us some of the new cool extensions you worked on, like the Makey Makey one.
How much time do we have?
Yeah. Well, we have 30 minutes left.
This is
cool.
one of the most interesting things to people. So
Whatever
you
sure
want.
is.
I mean, it would be one of the things I'm most interested in. I can imagine other people will be.
All right, let me just.
I think you should show some of the ones you've done, but then you should definitely show.
So while Eric brings that up, if nobody minds, I just wanted to say that, and to give him a little time too, that when it comes to innovating within Scratch, there's a lot of people that have innovated within Scratch and have coded Scratch and done a lot of work. There's so many contributors. But in my mind, Eric stands out as one of the biggest contributors to extending the way Scratch works, and specifically extending it in ways that are expressive and artistic, musical, visuals, crazy, zany, cross-computational projects. And I imagine that's one of the reasons that one of his main jobs at Scratch now, in my mind, although I don't know exactly his job description, is to create these extensions. And some of them are so nice to be able to work with. And I just wanted to give you guys that introduction to how Eric's working with the extension.
Thanks, Jay. Colleen, I'm just going to need permission to do the share.
By the way, we've got 98 people from around the world.
I didn't know I was unmuted. I'm sorry about that. It should be good now. Is it letting you do it, Eric?
Oh, there it goes.
Wait, I have to redo it. Sorry, just a second.
I thought Jay talked over me. It sounds like I was muted when I thought that happened. I was going to say, Eric, if you would share some of the current extensions, and then we want to see the secret ones. Well, I know they're not secret, but the in progress, because that was really exciting.
Let's call them secret. That's more fun.
It is, but it was really exciting to me when you shared those last week.
Cool. All right. Well, here we're in Scratch. If people aren't familiar with it, this is the Scratch editor. You program with blocks. I'm going to focus on music and sound related stuff since that's what I love to do. So if I click on Start Sound Meow, hopefully you heard a meow sound if I'm sharing the sound correctly. But we can browse a whole big library of sounds. I added these wacky sounds. All right, so let's add this boing sound. There's a sound editor where you can modify the sound. And now it shows up in the blocks. And so I can write a program that when I press a key on my computer, when I press the space bar, it can play the sound. And,
hey, Eric.
Yep.
Real quick, I don't know why, but your screen is fuzzy, and it's only if I'm in maximum view that it looks really fuzzy. But maybe if you would unshare
this is a throttling
and come back.
issue.
Yeah, it might be.
I think he might just need to hit the magnifying glass one time or something, and there might not be anything else that can be done beyond that.
Well,
or you change your resolution. You can change your resolution.
Let me just start.
Oh, hi, Eric. Eric Schilling is saying it might be your it might just be your connection.
Connection plus a screen resolution combined with that.
Yeah.
Should have connected to Ethernet. Oh well. Okay.
I see it clearly on my side.
It's okay.
So I'm zooming in on the block because I forgot to do that.
That looks good. That looks good.
Zoom in the whole UI a little bit as well. Okay. So when I press the space key, you get the boing sound. In a minute, Jay will show you how easy it is to hook up Makey Makey so that you can touch anything to play, say, the boing sound. I just wanted to show you this change pitch effect block. So what that does is it changes the pitch, which is like how high or low the sound is. So now this is going to change the pitch every time I press the key. And so it just goes up and up and up. I can press stop. We could also, for instance, set the pitch to a random number. We'll pick random. Now we're coding. Minus 100 to 100, let's say. So now every time I press the space key, it has a random pitch. Those really low ones are kind of funny and gross and weird. One other crazy thing that you can do, which I love, is you can add random sounds. So we'll select this surprise option on the sounds tab. So there's clapping, there's chill music. I can just select the end of that and delete it to make it shorter. We'll add this cheer. I'll just grab a little bit of that, maybe fade it out. Just quickly doing some sound design. Whoops. Oh, and of course I can also record myself. Let's just trim that. Sweet. Okay. So now, and I'll remove the meow. So now I have 5 different sounds. So what if I wanted to, so first of all, I can play any of those. So that last one, recording one, was me. Oh, but the pitch effect is still set. I have to press stop to clear that. Okay. But instead of just picking a sound from the menu, I can use this pick random block. And now, so it's picking a random sound from that set of sounds each time. Okay, so on to extensions. How about the Makey Makey extension?
I think you went really fast, and just stay on that screen for just a second. Oh, she
sorry.
just didn't know. She didn't know you could put the random block in the start sound. Eileen is just didn't notice that was something you could do. So I think that's pretty cool. I actually looked all this up the other day, the names of the different blocks, and I forgot what that kind of block is called, that circle one. But anywhere where you have that ability to fit that block, just like a puzzle, a reporter, thank you, Eileen,
Yep.
you can stick that in there wherever wherever it looks like that. So that's pretty cool.
That's true, and it's a magical and maybe non-obvious feature. It also works with costumes, for instance. You can access them by number. You can use variables for that and so forth. Okay, cool.
So you're good. Now move. That's just that you went so fast, and I think you just made the minds go.
That's the goal. But yeah, I definitely want to pause for questions, so definitely let me know. Sorry for going a little too fast.
No, it's okay. Now show us the Makey. I think you were going to show us the Makey Makey extension.
Yeah, so at the bottom left here, there's this blue button that brings up the library of extensions. So we have music and pen, video sensing, text-to-speech. We have a whole bunch of cool extensions. There's all these Lego robotics things. And so one of them is the Makey Makey extension, and it just has these 2 blocks. So you'll notice this is very similar to that when space key pressed. That's because it actually is similar. It does the same thing. So if I plug that in and I disconnect this one, now when I press the space key, I deleted the meow sound. So it doesn't play. Now, when I press the space key, I can play the sound that way as well. And this just has a convenient list of the keys that happen to be by default on the Makey Makey itself. But I want to show you this other one that we added. So it says when left, up, right, pressed in order, and then there's other options. So these are sequences of keys. And so what I'm going to do is press my arrow keys randomly, nothing happens, but if I press them exactly in this order, left, up, then right, then I get the sound. And so there's a couple of cool things you can do with this. One of them is you can use it for secret codes. And I'm just going to switch over to my project, Beatbox Quartet, it's called. So it's got these 4 sprites, and I'm pressing the arrow keys. So if I press the left arrow, it makes that guy make the sound. If I press the right arrow, that other one makes the sound. But if I do the Konami code, up, up, down, down, left, right, something else happens. So it's just a little secret magic surprise. Okay, any questions about the Makey Makey extension?
You have, I was telling someone in the chat that the way you're doing that with the sounds is it works specific by sprite. And so I was just about to share a poem generator project I did last year where you touched the different keys, but you were actually touching a drawing, and it would generate different parts of a poem. So it's pretty cool. You can combine it to make it pretty complex.
Yeah. Oh, there's no limit. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, tell everyone what the Konami code is, especially the kids. They may not know just the tiny history behind it.
It's an old school video game thing. Jay, do you remember was it from Contra? Anyway, it's from an old 8-bit video game in the 80s. And then it was in many video games. And basically it was a secret code left in there by one of the game developers so that you could get special cheats in the game, and you would press it on your gamepad in that.
Contra was too hard to beat, so you only get 3 guys. So you could get 30 guys if you pushed the up, up, down, down, left, right, BA right before the screen would load, which was a very small amount of time.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you.
Since we were talking about dropping reporters onto blocks, you can actually make your own secret code. So we have a variable called myVariable. I press the checkbox to show it. And so now if I set that variable to M space A space key space E K space E. So I set it to Makey, but with spaces between the letters. Now I have to literally type on my keyboard M-A-K-E-Y, and then I get the sound. So you can make any secret code that way that you want. It's kind of a hidden bonus feature there. All right, why don't we shift over to something completely different just briefly, which is an experimental extension. All right, I'm going to zoom in again.
Da, da, da.
So this is the result of just some creative play research that I like to do to see like, well, what else could we add to Scratch? What kind of weird extensions could we make? So there's no guarantee we'll ever add this to real Scratch. Basically, it uses some technology from Google to track your body. The body sensing extension, I call it. And it'll turn on my camera. There we go. So now you can see me live again, which is great. And there's just a few blocks here. One of them says go to nose. And so if I move my face over here and click on it, the cat knows where my nose is and can jump to it. And that's most of what this thing does. So it uses a technology from Google called TensorFlow PoseNet to track positions of various of your body parts. So like I can make the cat go to my left eye instead. And so, well, what does this allow you to do? Well, maybe we should, everybody's worried about their haircuts these days, so maybe we should paint me some new purple hair. Just get some spiky hair there. Oh, need to be make it a little bigger. Okay, and if I make it go to my nose, it's kind of too low, but okay, we'll start there. We're iterating. I grab this forever block, and now instead of clicking it over and over again to make it move with me, I can put it in the forever loop, and now over and over again, it's updating as I move around. That's cool, but it's too low, so one way I can fix that is if I just zoom out here, I can select the hair and then just move it. There we go. And now I have, it's more like a hat than hair. But anyway, as you can see, I can make it stick to my face. It's a little bit like the Instagram or Snapchat augmented reality things that kids are doing to stick things to your body and your face and make cartoony effects. But in this case, you can really easily make your own. It's not rotating as I move my head, but I have this head direction reporter. You can see the number changing there. As I tilt my head left and right, it's reporting the angle just like a Scratch sprite. And so I can say point in direction, head direction. And now as I tilt my head, you can see the hair is actually kind of, it's not perfect, kind of tilting
with it.
With me. And I'll just show you one more thing. And so you can imagine you can make a musical instrument that you control with this thing or a video game. And I'll just show you this one thing.
While you're looking, Pragyan is asking if it can recognize a real from a fake thing. So if you had a fake hand, would it like a foam finger hand? Is it going to see that, or is it going to not know?
I don't know. That's a good question. So that's one of the reasons this is still a research project. It's definitely not perfect. I know it's hard to take me seriously while I'm wearing this. But we think it works pretty well. I'm just making my, I gotta send my nose to the front, go to front layer. There we go. Okay, so now I've got this like reality clown face, but it has a bonus feature, which is that if I tilt my head to the left, bananas come out of my ears. And so here's the code for that. It just says when the head tilts left, and then it does it in a loop, repeat 10 times, my favorite pitch effect block, and create a clone. So that makes a copy of the banana, and then the banana moves using those blocks. That's a little complicated, but
this isn't the current video sensing, right? It's not like this. That's someone's asking, and I'm saying no, this isn't out.
Good question. So this is an experimental prototype of what we call the body sensing extension. There is also a video sensing extension that just detects motion on certain parts of the stage. What this one allows you to do is track your body and make things move along with you.
Eric, if you like cover your mouth or cover one eye with a hand or something, what happens? Does it lose? Does it get confused? Or
Eventually it
Yeah,
will.
it's looking
I was
confused.
did pretty good.
I mean, I also have, oh, it's freaking out. Okay, I'll close that. That's called the live demo, folks. All right,
That
I'll
was
stop there.
great.
Thank you, yes.
We're
So yeah, the body sensing extension is experimental. We don't know if we'll ever release it. There are some challenging design and technology problems to solve with it. The main ones being, is the AI good enough to recognize all people of all body types and other kinds of differences between them? Is it going to perform well enough so that, like, on people with low-end computers or tablets, is it going to be too slow? So that's one of the questions we don't know yet. And then also, like, making really good blocks that feel both simple but really powerful is something that I'm also still working on. So we'll see. We're always working to, like, add new things, but we have to carefully prioritize what is going to bring the most impact to the most people.
I thought the speech loudness one was really cool that you shared, where you like shouted at the screen and your sprite could get bigger. I don't know what you called that extension.
Oh, so there's an existing block
Yeah.
that's always been in Scratch called loudness, and it's a reporter block, and it just shows you the loudness from the microphone. What I'm also considering now as a research project, so no guarantees, is that we'll make it into an extension. So that will move the existing loudness block into an extension, the sound sensing extension, and then also add some additional magic to it. So the thing I'm considering now is a project loud, so it'd be microphone loudness and project loudness. The project loudness block, instead of using your microphone, would measure the sound inside of Scratch. And so that would make it easier to make really consistent music visualizers. And you could, for example, measure the sound even when your sound from your computer is off, or make sure that everyone has a project that works in the same way when it's measuring the sound. So anyway, we're still exploring that, figuring out how to explain it.
Andrew McDonald is excited because he said he just did a loudness block project. So
I love the loudness block, so fun.
Yeah, to share that. We have maybe 10 to 15 minutes left, so I guess we should let Jay share a Makey Makey demo with Scratch, unless there was another extension you wanted to share. I think we did have the question if there was a dream extension you wanted to make.
Oh, there's so many dream extensions, and I've done lots of crazy prototypes. And also, it's been really fun because the new version of Scratch is open source, that lots of other people are doing their own experimental extensions. We haven't had the resources to really document it well enough to make it really easy for lots of people. I'm interested in doing more music extensions myself. Those are challenging because, well, for a lot of reasons, but one is getting access, like rights to use popular music that the kids want to use in their projects. Which dream, I see the question, which dream extension is most likely to happen? I'd love to be able to do a physics extension. So like you turn it on a sprite and it just falls to the bottom of the stage and bounces around and sprites can collide and pile up. That one is tricky. I don't know if we'll ever be able to do that one, but another one that I'd love to do is a text extension, because we see lots of kids using the pen extension to draw letters. It's very complex in the code to do that, but I think we could make something that makes it very simple for people to draw text on the stage. And that would open up some really sort of generative possibilities for creativity and learning with Scratch.
My daughter just made the weirdest Scratch project where she used the pen tool. I don't remember what it was supposed to be, but it's a pickle drawer. And so she made like a pickle, and then you have to click on the pickle and it tells you like draw a cat. So you have to draw a cat. She used the pen extension. And I just thought it was such a fun, quirky way to make it tells you what to draw and then you have to draw it. It doesn't work very well, obviously, to try to draw by moving a sprite around, but it's pretty fun.
That's awesome.
One question, when you made the variable, and I think the answer, like Pragyan is asking, if you type a word Makey Makey and you put a space, is it still going to work like without the space or with the space? Like you can name a variable anything you want, right? It doesn't matter if you put a space or not, as long as you recall it in the same way.
I think there's multiple issues. So the name of the variable doesn't matter. Yeah. That's unrelated. Okay. It could be any variable. Okay. The value that you set it to for that particular block, the Makey Makey pressed in order block. If the value of that variable is letters separated by spaces, then it will trigger when you press those keys on your keyboard in that order. I don't know if
I
that
believe
answers
for
your question.
up, down, left, and right, you have to spell those out. UP space left.
That's true. Thank you.
Cool.
Yes, that's correct.
That was a good nerdy question and answer right there.
I hope that was helpful. That might have been.
It was.
That
It
might
was.
have
I
been
think it was
something
good.
else,
David says syntax is king in naming. I think that's true.
but also in my demo, I didn't even make a new variable because Scratch has a free one built in, and so I just dragged that out instead. You can use anything.
All right, Jay, show us your demo of Makey Makey.
Sure.
Scratch.
Okay, so last webinar, I did a basic Makey Makey demo. So I'm going to skip over how to plug it in, things like that. And I actually already have 3 alligator clips plugged in. So I'm going to skip the super basic demo, and I'm just going to show something else. Starting with, does anyone know, and has anyone out there used graphite with their Makey Makeys before? The first person to tell me graphite conductive was another media labber named Jeff Lieberman. And up until then, I didn't really know it was conductive. So I'm just using regular pencil. There's nothing special about that pencil, except it's a really awesome wooden pencil. And I'm just going to plug it in. And so now I'm connected, and I'll move my Makey Makey back onto the screen there. And I will touch the graphite. And let's see, can we see that there? There we go. Now we can see it.
Lighten up.
And I can do that some more. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a special thing with the Makey Makey extension, the secret code that Eric was doing before. So the secret code, of course, can make something secret appear. But also what it can do is allow you to sequence things in space. So you could imagine a lot of things you might want to sequence in space, like, oh, well, if we do these special things in a row, it would be a secret code that unlocks something. So maybe you want to touch some special glasses of water in a certain order, and then that opens a door or opens a virtual door or something like that. But when you touch things in a certain order really fast, something special happens, and it starts to look like a swipe or something. So let's just see if all of these are connected. The left, the up, and the right, which you can't quite see. Let me move that out of the way. Left, up, and right. There we go. And if I do it faster, left, up, right. And you can see with my finger now, I'm pushing a sequence of keys, but I'm also kind of doing a gesture, which has come into popular being over the last 10 years through smartphones and other devices like that. So let me switch over to Scratch. And Colleen, did you already spotlight my phone?
Spotlighted Makey Makey, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So let's keep doing that. But I will bring up Scratch, so I'm not sure how you're going to deal with both those things. But anyways.
I think it'll show your phone spotlighted and Scratch.
Yeah, we want to see both if possible. So, okay, so can people, oh, and I have to share the sound for my screen, right? So let me just do that one more time. So share computer sound. And I'll optimize screen share for video clip, or no? No, I don't need to do that. Okay, cool. So here I have a little project that I made of, if I click these blocks, it just goes through some pictures of me and one of my wife and one of me a long time ago. And I'm gonna hook these up now so that I can control them from my new gesture interface. So whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do the extension for Makey Makey. I'm gonna grab the when left up right is pressed. And on my keyboard, I'll just try that first. Oh, I don't know where I went. Okay, so left, up, right. Oh, and I don't have my focus. So that happens sometimes. So I'm gonna click on Scratch to make sure that my focus is there. Oh, it is, sorry. I have to hook up my blocks.
There's a bug in your program, Jay.
If only there was a way to debug this. Okay, so I hooked up my blocks, and what I think was happening was I was triggering it, but they weren't connected. So now I'll try. Okay, there we go. So
Awesome.
It's a sequence. Now that's interesting, but I think the real interesting thing is if the sequence looks like a gesture. So let's try this. And we could also, if we wanted to, hook it up the other way, right, up, left, and this could go to the other, swipe the photos in the other direction. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I'm just going to use a hat because I have 4 costumes. And I think if I go to next costume 3 times, or maybe it's 5 times, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So now if I swipe one way, it goes forward. Oh, but I don't have my focus. That happens a lot. Let me click on the background there. Oh, not getting it. There we go. There we go. And now the other way. Okay, so now I have swiping forwards and backwards.
Technically, you'd want to take that whoosh sound and make it into shoo, using the reverse
right.
button in the sound editor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably not too hard. Let's
if we had more time.
Oh, we have
Nice.
enough time because Scratch is tinkerable. Okay, so
well done.
now we have my recording 1, and let's see how that went. Eric's idea. This is totally unplanned.
That's
all right.
fun.
And then what I did was I just took that and I just cut out a little piece of cardboard while Eric was talking, and I taped a piece of paper to it. And I thought, oh, this is kind of cool because then I can go full screen and I can kind of pretend I have like an iPhone or something, or an iPod phone. I don't know what this is supposed to look like, but I just kind of made it up. And I can transfer my connections. I'm not watching my screen anymore, so Colleen or Eric, tell me if I'm not showing things correctly.
It looks good. I think I figured out a way to focus on this, and your screen is still there, but it's smaller for
So
everyone.
a question about materials. So anything that is electrically conductive, I like to say anything that is edible, has ever been or is now alive, and also many but not all metallic things. So often you can use aluminum foil, Play-Doh, certain coins, bananas we love to use, people, pets, petunias.
Grandma, ice. Flowing
Ice is
water.
so fun to use.
As
yeah.
long as the flowing water is laminar flow, which
An
means
unbroken
there's no separation between the droplets.
Stream of water, yes.
Jay, are
So-
you holding Earth, or someone asked about where your Earth is?
Yeah, so
Good question.
Earlier I was holding Earth on the strip, but I just noticed, hey, that's kind of an awkward way to do that. So just now I decided that I would take this red wire right here and hook it up on my iPhoto swiper pod.
It's your paper
And
phone.
now, when I hold it down here, it's just very natural. And I'm not sure if I hooked it up right, but let me just give this a try. Oh, good. I can swipe forward. Okay. And I can swipe backwards with the new sound effect.
Oh, it's very cool.
And I'm just going to show one other thing. I'm going to get out of this Scratch project and go into this one where all I did was make this thing that changes the volume when left up right is pushed. So I still have my left up right. There's no difference there, but I'm just going to change the volume. In other words, make it louder when left up right is pushed. And the sound that it's going to make is this little loop.
If you check off the volume reporter monitor thing.
If I do what?
We could just, the music is too loud.
Stop everything.
Love that. It's too loud.
If only there was some way to adjust the volume, Jay.
We're going to be turning it up, not down, my friend.
I love this.
Okay, so what I want to do, what I'm hoping to do, and I didn't try this because I was kind of just setting up while Eric was demoing, but I'm hoping that when I change the volume, the sound will get louder, and I'm hoping that I can do it with a circular motion. You see how I set these up? I extended these circuit traces, if you will, made of graphite here, and I extended them to be kind of a triangle shape, but that's kind of nice for a circular motion with my hand. So I'm just wondering if I can hit left up right, but if I can do it over and over again, like I'm turning up a volume. So I'm going to try it and see what happens, and then I'll go from there.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting louder.
You're maxed out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the max volume, 100. Great. And actually, I wasn't planning on doing this, but just for completeness, I feel like if we just do right
Can I
up
turn
left,
it down?
make this number -20 and give that a try and see what that does. I think
All right.
it's just interesting to
Good.
try things in front of people and see what's going on. So I'll start the sound again. Oh, yeah. Great, so we
Yeah.
got that. And ideally you would have one of each, right? And then you could turn it up and down. So let's just do that really quickly. 20.
No, not
up.
209.
Out of control.
Oh, we should make this thing go up to 101.
It should be
Okay.
11. You should have been doing 11
You're
this
right.
whole
You're all,
time.
yeah, I'm foolish. So your little Scratch iPod controller, there you have it. And all can be made in a matter of minutes. And I think it's just an interesting, it's interesting to take swiping. And I'll just tell you a little story about that. If we have 1 minute. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just tell a 1 minute story about it. I was at Intel and I was developing Makey Makey. It had been launched, but we were developing new uses for it. And I was a maker research scientist at Intel. And these guys were working on the steering wheel and they had ordered all these prototypes and had custom electronics because they wanted like a swipeable interface right on the steering wheel for the smart car. And it took, a week turnaround and $10,000 to get these custom electronics and things would work or not, 3D printed steering wheel. And I kept hearing them being stuck. And I'm like, hey, what's your guys' problem over there? And they're like, yeah, we want to change the volume and change the song, go to the next song right from the steering wheel. I'm like, oh, I have an idea. Let me cook something up. And they're like, oh, well, you have a few weeks or something? I'm like, no, I have like 20 minutes. So I was like, are you using a computer? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, does it take keyboard and mouse input? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So we didn't have that special swipe, interface that Eric added as this Makey Makey extension yet, like the up, down, left secret code thing. But I just hooked up Scratch blocks to more or less mimic that. And so we brought it out and we were able to change sound and volume and go to the next song in less than an hour. And the paper was able to be taped right onto the steering wheel that they had 3D printed. And so that just shows kind of the way you can think about gestural interfaces and putting them on walls. They can be big. You can run across them and slide your hand like you would on a fence, or you can set up a bunch of people and high five them in a certain order and play all kinds of games and like really quickly iterate. And it's actually useful for prototyping, even on the cutting edge of real industry. So I just wanted to tell the story of how gesture swiping kind of first came to being.
We had a request to extend the webinar for the next 23 hours. Can we do that? No.
Done.
Out of time. Sorry.
We did have that. There are a couple questions we missed throughout the thing. So one was Christopher Sweeney, who you met at ISTE last year. He is this huge Draudio fan. He wants to know if there's ever going to be a way that you connect Draudio to Makey Makey. He wants you to mash those two things together.
What would that look like? Whoa.
That's excellent. We've been thinking that for a long time. I mean, and Makey Makey is an extension of Draudio. Like that's one of the platforms that it came from.
Yeah.
If you really want to mash the two together, if you could get like a Pico Cricket set, or maybe you could get some microbit stuff and kind of do your own mashup. As far as our mashup goes, yeah, we have plans that look like a Makey Makey and Draudio mashed together, but we have a lot of plans and we have to be very careful what we bring to market because we're a very small company. And like Eric and I never took investment. There's not like our research budget is very carefully managed, and but as we get NSF grants, which has been really helpful, then we'll try more stuff. So I'm glad you're excited, and we'll try to bring you some amazing new stuff.
And Ollie, which is one of our super fans, he wants to know if you're going to have a wireless Makey Makey. I mean, it's the question that people like to ask. I will say, in case anyone's here who hasn't seen in the last month, that the iPad did create a new OS, and now you can plug Makey Makey into an iPad really easily, which is pretty awesome. But they're specifically asking about wireless Makey Makey. I think it's more of I'm just asking you to, because
let me flip the question really quick. The question's not lost on me, but I would ask people in the chat, how much do you want a wireless Makey Makey would be one question. Also, like, what kind of things would you do with it that you couldn't do with a regular Makey Makey? So like, what would be great about it for you? And if you give us that feedback, it'll help us make that decision, because we definitely have looked at it and are looking at it.
There have been
that's a good question.
Prototypes over the years.
Yeah. Actually, here's two questions for Eric. And one is Kathleen Fugel, who's awesome, who you should know, Eric, because she has been in the Scratch community for 10 years. She celebrated her 10-year birthday yesterday. I know. I was like, that's awesome. Then I had to look back, and I think it's my 7-year anniversary today. I found a project. Thanks. I found a project, and it was a Scratch cat Is a scratch cat that says, go eat the banana. I think I literally made a Makey Makey project for my first scratch.
There are no coincidences.
Kind of embarrasses me. But she asked about using click, like cool ways to use click and Makey Makey, or cool ways to use click input with scratch. Off the top of your head.
Yeah, it ends up being similar to using a key, but slightly more awkward because it matters where your mouse cursor is on the screen. So it's easy to like accidentally do it so that it doesn't work. Similar to the issue that Jay was mentioning, where your keyboard focus has to be on the right window on your computer. So in this case, your mouse cursor has to be in the right place. So I often do not use that, especially when I'm doing like a live demo, because the keys are more reliable. It can be confusing to understand like why the click is not working because you're not paying attention to the cursor usually when you're making something with the Makey Makey.
I think click works better on the background. So when stage clicked, you have a little less error than if you're trying to click on a specific character. That does make it hard. Ali also asked about why he can't press all 4 arrow keys at once. And I know you and I just talked about this. So.
Yeah. I think there are some weird subtleties to this. Basically, computer operating systems, I think, try to anticipate situations like if you have a cat and they're walking across your keyboard or sit down on it. And so it's able to ignore input that from the perspective of the operating system doesn't make sense. And so you wouldn't expect to be trying to do something by pressing all 4 arrow keys. Obviously, they didn't know about Makey Makey, and we want to do that. But it seems like they're depending on your computer and its operating system, it does prevent you, I think, from pressing certain combinations of keys all at the same time.
You can't press all 4 arrow keys. So I told Ali I was going to share your Scratch project. We actually had a student. This is how far our customer service goes sometimes. A teacher emailed me about a student making a recorder. And she said the student couldn't do all the arrows. And then I emailed Eric, why isn't this working? And he made this amazing little keyboard tester project. So you can actually press on your keyboard keys to see what's going to work in Scratch, because they thought it was a Scratch default. And it turned out it was it's your keyboard. So it's the keyboard on the Makey Makey and your actual keyboard. So if you press like 10 keys at once on your keyboard, your computer's like, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I kept saying it's your operating system. I think you're right. It's the keyboard hardware, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you plug, I only say that because I plugged in a gaming keyboard and I could push like 15 keys because the gaming keyboard is like, it's designed to do that. So 2 more questions, and then I think we should let everyone go. But just because you're both here and it's fun, Pragyan wants to know how to make their games more interesting. I think this is a fun question. It's super like broad. So
yeah. Do you want to take that one, Jay?
That is a hard question. I mean, I guess the way that I've always made things that I think are interesting are by starting with my interests and things that I'm fascinated with. And I think that, like me and Eric, a lot of the stuff that we do either together or separately, we have these like questions that we're struggling with, either like late at night. Like one question they asked right before I joined Media Lab was, what are you working on like right before bed? And it's an interesting question. It's like, what do you do in your free time? What is your research? Whether or not you would call it research. As a matter of fact, at the time when they asked me that, I didn't consider what I was doing research, but they did. So you might be surprised that when you're searching to discover new things about the universe, oftentimes your thoughts really are delving into either new territory, either new for you or new for the whole world, or a little of both. So I'll actually just show you a couple of projects that were the first projects that Eric and I shared to the Scratch website.
Awesome.
This is one of Eric's earliest projects.
This is the bonus feature webinar.
Rosenbaum has an interest in
That's
health
me.
systems that he shared with me many times. So yeah, Eric. And this is one of Eric's first projects. Did you want to say anything, Eric? Or?
Oh, keep going.
Oh, okay, fine. And here's one of my first projects. I was actually super interested in breakdancing at the time and all forms of hip hop.
Check this out.
So this is actually this project. It says that this is project 6146, but if you look back to the, it's actually like project number 100 or something like that. That's just like kind of broken this version, but 118. So these are some early
Scratch projects in existence. Yes.
Some old school projects. That was the second Scratch project I ever made. The first project I ever made was like had to do with yoga. And that was another interest of mine at the time. And so I guess my answer is, to make it interesting, follow your deep passions, I guess, my best.
Make it about something you're interested in.
Yeah.
And
it makes sense.
Even if that thing that you're interested, you might be worried like, oh, other people might not think this is interesting, or they might think it's weird. It's actually very likely that something that you have as a unique, weird thing about you that you care about deeply, like somebody else in the world probably cares about that too. So try to ignore that inner voice that's saying like, oh, that's not interesting, because it probably is.
That's
yeah,
great.
It's totally true. And I think that like everyone to some degree is an artist, just because humankind has a part in them that gets inspired from time to time. You know, you might be thinking, I don't always get inspired, but you probably have been inspired. And there's something in us that wants to share that inspiration. And one of the ways we can share that inspiration is by doing art. In other words, by making something or some sound or some expression in the physical world that when other people see it, they get that same feeling you had that inspired you to make it in the first place. And so if you feel inspired, probably make something, because someone else might get inspired from it too. And that's kind of your job.
So true.
Oh, is it possible to convert a Scratch program to a video file?
Oh, this is a
classic.
There's a lot of complex in and outs to this question. Scratch, one reason people ask that is because Scratch 2 had a feature that Scratch 3 does not, for a lot of different reasons, that allowed you to automatically record and export a video. The format that created is not something that the world supports anymore anyway, so we couldn't do the exact same thing. And also there exist many options for free and non-free screen recording software, so we just recommend that people find their own way to record the screen of their Scratch project if they want to do that specific thing.
And the meta answer to that is, when you can't support everything, support the most important things. That's a tool design rule.
Yeah. Couldn't you just take a screen share video of the project playing? I mean,
that's what I was trying to say.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Lots of ways to do that already.
But even that can be hard for people. So, you know,
Yep.
It would be ideal if Scratch had it built in, and it just doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading through this, trying to get all the questions and the answers we didn't answer. Sandra Bleeker said, a year ago at MIT Scratch Day, there was someone working on flexibly using video within Scratch, and it was really neat. Do you know anything about that?
There's a lot of things like that. That person probably saw an awesome experiment by one of the current PhD students named Sean. And that app that he made called Bricoleur is a beautiful kind of variation of Scratch for interacting with video and programming it. It will be part of his research. I don't know if he's going to release it to the world, but it's definitely something that we take as an inspiration on the Scratch team also for future experiments.
Awesome.
Bricolage refers to the old art of having a curated junk pile that you can grab from to repurpose.
Well, great. You guys, someone asked at the very beginning what our objectives were in this webinar, and I'm just going to sum up what I think our whole purpose was in being here today, and that was to have the both of you on to share the story of Makey Makey. We did that, check. And to have Eric share us some really awesome ideas for Scratch Month. And share those Scratch extensions, so that the video of Eric went really fast. So the video will be, it's already on YouTube, and we shared it in chat, but we will, we will share everything in a blog post, probably by tomorrow midday. It'll have the video and a lot of the things that you've talked about in chat, because there are a lot of really good links in chat. We had people ask, like, how do I make a musical paintbrush? And we'll put all those links there. Even the click video, the click project. And apparently I never made a project of the random poetry generator. I just shared it on social. So I guess I have my own work to do on that. But we also wanted to share Jay's great ideas for hooking up Makey Makey and Scratch. And we saw some new things today that I think you blew people's minds with your gesture controlled iPod, old school iPod for drawing thing. And yeah, so good. And we really thank both of you for being here. We really appreciate that. And also, I just love the idea of, Sandra, you can play Scratch games on your phone. You can do Scratch on your phone now. It's just not an app. It's through the browser. So if you guys want to do that, I also will share out that link for how to use Scratch on your iPad and program Makey Makey. And I think that's it. That's everybody.
Can I say something? I was really glad to have Eric on today. And I think that, you know, his participation was so important all the way through and is important now too. And so, you know, if you guys want to see him more, let us know in the chat. But I'd like to bring Eric around more in the webinars and into Makey Makey more and stuff. So I was glad to have him here to show that Scratch stuff.
It's really cool to see you guys together, because you have this inventor magnetism, and you're both so funny when you're together, and you do great, quick, funny things that I don't think would happen if you weren't here live right now together. So I definitely really appreciate Eric coming at the drop of a hat. I don't think I gave you that much time, and working with me and Jay and coming. This is really awesome.
I'm
I think
super
you were
grateful
still
too.
talking.
Yeah, we have a
I think I interrupted you.
Oh, we have a special collaborability, so it's really nice to have him on. It was really
I like that. Collaborability.
True.
Is that a real word?
I just said it now because Eric's standing here and he makes me think of good words.
So good.
All right. You guys, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.